Here's 5 ways to improve your running times. Number 1, following a structured strength and conditioning program. Emphasis on the word structured. If you've got a relatively low training age, you haven't been exposed to the gym that frequently over the years, and going in and doing 3 or 4 gym-based sessions a week alongside your running, likely you've spiked things up too soon, and you're probably going to feel very fatigued, sore, and then likely anchor a negative thought process towards the gym because you've got heavy legs. Your running times then start getting slower because you just can't perform optimally. So dosing yourself appropriately with a structured strength and conditioning program around your runs would be optimal. So when you look at your training week, you might have 4 runs booked in. 2 of them are long runs, and then you can book in your 2 gym-based sessions in and around those gaps in your schedule. But getting the volume right is so key, and then you can gradually accumulate more volume over time. So that's number 1, following a structured strength and conditioning program. Number 2, fuel for the work required. So we know that if you're doing more than 15 or 20K and building up over time towards a marathon, that you have to have sufficient fuel in the tank to execute that run and improve your running times. We've all been there. When you're low on fuel, you're low on energy availability, and you just fall off the cliff in terms of your times. So getting the fueling right is really important. Do you need to be fueled for a 5K run? Probably not. But anything over 15K, maybe even 12K, you have to have sufficient fuel, muscle and liver glycogen replenishment with high carbohydrate intake to ensure that you execute that run optimally and improve your running times. Number 3, and this one's really important, don't spike running volumes too early. So like when you get into anything, you start enjoying it early on, you create an environment, you may be running with friends. I'm running with friends in Richmond Park. Some of them might be superior in terms of their running ability to me. So then running for longer than I should be doing, though that might sound good to some, can actually be detrimental because you get too much of a spike in running volumes. And because of that, your body then can start to break down. So if you go from 0 running and then you say, right, I'm going to go and do a 10K, that might be too much of a spike out of the gate. So what might be better would be, okay, I'm going to try and run 3 or 4K, see how I feel for 24 to 36 hours after that run. If I felt great through the lower limb, I'm now going to increase volumes next time. I'm maybe going to nail that 5K. So you can gradually start increasing volume, and think of this like a mountain analogy. You don't reach the summit without climbing it first. Running is no different. The summit could be a marathon, and you're certainly not going to do that out of the gate, but you've got to gradually accumulate more volume over time as you get towards that end goal of maybe a marathon or a 10K, whatever your goal may be specifically to you. But the key is don't acutely spike your running volumes. Gradually build 1 run a week, 2 runs a week, and so on, and go from there. Leading on from point 3 of not spiking running volumes too early, point 4 is to prioritize recovery. And what does recovery mean? Recovery can be sleep optimization, it could be nutrition, and it could just be relaxing after a very long run. There's also other modalities out there like infrared saunas, hyperbaric chambers, ice baths are getting a lot of noise of late. So if you do a run that's greater volume than what you've done previously and you are feeling a little bit fatigued, one of those modalities could work. But the main focus around prioritization of recovery has to be sleep optimization, and it also has to be nutrition. So getting proper nutrients in and proper fuel in post-run is actually a great way to improve and speed up the recovery process. So ensuring you're recovering post-run is really important after a long run. Our 5th and final tip on ways to improve your running times is have an end goal. One of my favorite quotes is, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. You've got to have a goal. You've got to know where you're going, otherwise you're merely treading water. So this video series is all about improving running times. But I'll be honest, I don't always go out there and try and hit a PB, or I don't always go out there and say, I've got to go and run a marathon. I just go out there and enjoy running, whether that's by myself, being with my own thoughts, or whether I'm with friends. And before you know it, we've hit a distance, we've hit a pretty decent time. So I just want to be clear on that, but this video series on how to improve running times. So knowing what time you're trying to get, what distance you're trying to do, is really important, especially if you're training for a marathon and you have a longer term vision. You then reverse engineer and you say, by week X, I want to accumulate this amount of volume and I want to run this time. And then you can progressively work towards the end goal of 26.2 miles. So having a goal to improve your running times is really important.